Wellness does not have to be expensive, complicated, or curated in order for it to work. And this is the time of year when marketing for the wellness girlies is at its all-time high. We're like in, the end of the year, businesses are telling us that it is their like only time of the year that they have sales and discounts and deals. And then we're also moving into the beginning of the year when everyone is, wanting to reset their life, completely transform into a new person, rebrand for 2026. And so we just really have to be aware of the fact that this is what is happening during this time of year. And so today I'm going to talk about some of my favorite wellness products from 2025. And I want to do this with the mindset that, first of all, some of these things cost $0. Some of them cost more money, like the Ultra Human Ring is probably my most expensive one on this list. But there's a wide range of different tools and things that can support our wellness. But I want to be very clear with you that you do not need any type of wellness product in order to be able to have good habits and good routines in your life. At the core of those things, having good habits and routines is not spending money, is not purchasing something that is going to automatically like fix your habits and routines. Of course, some of these things can support our wellness and habits and all these things. However, at the end of the day, if you have not taken the time to kind of like reflect on your habits and goals and where you're at, adding on products on top of that is not going to help you. So I just want to start with that because I think that that's really important to just clarify and for everyone to just, if you're feeling the need that you need to purchase a whole bunch of new like wellness products for the beginning of the year, you probably don't actually have to. You probably just need to take a moment to like reset, refresh, look at what's going on, take some time and create some space in your calendar to like actually think about what's happening in your life rather than just buying new products to add on top of that. Welcome back to the Hot Mess Habits podcast. My name is Victoria Harder. I'm your host. Around here, we talk all about realistic wellness, habits, productivity. I myself am identified as a type B girl. I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I'm a mom, a business owner, and I have lots going on in my personal life. So when it comes to creating habits and routines, I find that a lot of the productivity advice that is recommended on the internet does not work for me, especially traditional productivity advice that I feel like is recommended by a lot of like, alpha males that basically just yell at me and tell me that I need to just like wake up and stop being lazy and that will fix my problems. Around here, we talk about things, how to do things realistically, and also building up that character side of like, okay, what do we do when, we go through seasons where we do really well with our goals and then, things happen, we fall off track. How do we pick ourselves back up and continue on and know that that is just a part of life? So we're very, we talk about things in a very well-rounded, holistic way around here. And so today I want to chat about just like some wellness things from this past year that really helped to support me. To be quite honest with you guys, this past year was very chaotic in terms of my personal life, business, everything. This past year was just chaotic, is the word that I would use to describe it. When I look back at, I've been currently planning out like our, January episodes and like our new year, how like resetting for the new year episodes and making some video and content around that. Been planning all that out this week. And so because of that, I was looking back at, my 2025 goals episode, my 2025 planning episodes, and I was just laughing at myself because the vision that I had for this past year was so different than the reality that actually happened. And I will dive more into this because I will go through like what my 2025 goals were and which ones I accomplished and didn't. So I will do something like that and you'll see that basically this year was so different. Like I was not expecting to move to a different place. I didn't know. I thought maybe we'd be pregnant by this end of this year, but that took up a lot of this year and I was sick for a lot of it. So there's just so many unexpected things that came about. But I do feel like I've grown a lot in the sense that there were still moments throughout that chaos where I was able to feel at peace and I was able to do some of these habits and routines that I feel like in when I was younger, I would have just kind of like fully given up. I definitely was not like the best version of myself and fully the person that I wanted to be over the summer. However, I do think that I had a lot more tools to support me through this time than I would have in the past. So that's kind of the where I'm coming from, my like reality of coming through this past year and what that looked like for me. It definitely was not a like, picture perfect year for me. I don't feel like I really accomplished that much in terms of like yeah, out of the goals and stuff that I was really wanting to focus on, I feel like I didn't make as much progress as I hoped that I would. But that's also, that's just life and that's part of what we talk about around here. So, okay, so I've divided this into some different sections and we'll talk about some different products and things in each section. So, the first one we're going to talk about is tech. So, like tech and digital stuff that supported me. Then we're going to talk about self care, creative habits, daily life, and then just some quick wins. And these ones are like very easy, quick wins that you could implement today. So, first up, we're going to talk about tech. And I feel like and tech also has the most expensive items. So, we'll get that, we'll talk about that first. And that is my Ultra Human ring, which this ring is definitely a splurge. The tracking rings are a splurge in comparison to a lot of other wellness products. And again, this is not one of those things that is like a need. And Ultra Human did gift me this ring. So I did not purchase it with my own money. But they gifted me this ring at this time last year. So I've had it for 1 year. And I will say that it is very nice to have. And I was an Apple Watch girly before I got the Ultra Human ring, but I just found the Apple Watch was very bulky and very distracting from my life. And one thing that I was really trying to prioritize this year was slowing down and not having as much distraction and always being pulled away. And, I've been really trying to work on my phone habits. And I feel like the Apple Watch was just kind of reinforcing my phone habits in terms of like I'm getting notifications and stuff on my watch. And one of my friends told me that I would like check my, like do this or like tap my watch and check it like as almost like I don't think I knew that I was doing it. So that scared me a little bit. So it's been nice to have the Ultra Human ring. The main things that I use it for is to track my steps and my sleep. I do think it's going to be nice for when I am postpartum. Well, it's either going to be really nice when I'm postpartum or not because I'm always so curious to know. I was always curious to know when I was postpartum last time, like how much sleep am I actually getting? Because I feel like it's like 0 to 1 hours. Not actually, but like, that's kind of how it feels. So I'm curious to know this time, like how much sleep am I actually getting? Am I getting into that deep sleep or not? But I could see how that could either be like good because it's like, it's helping you be like, okay, yes, you really didn't sleep last night. That's why you feel so tired. Or it could be like making you feel more tired because you're like, oh my goodness, I literally only got an hour sleep last night. So we'll see how that goes during postpartum. I'll update you guys if I wear it or not during postpartum season. Next up, I feel like I've talked about this a lot on Instagram. I don't know if I've chatted about it too much on the podcast, but the brick, like having a brick has been such a game changer. It's one of those things that I feel like the influencers, I saw so many influencers talking about it and I was hesitant in terms of I'm like, okay, how much does this actually change in terms of like, iPhone already has the screen time limits that you can set. Like, how much of a difference does it make? It makes such a difference. For those of you who don't know what it is, basically it is a little device that you actually have to physically tap. And when you do, you can choose which apps that you lock yourself out of. So I get locked out of all of my social media apps. And I've been doing that in the evenings. I've only had that actually since September. So only for like 2 months, 2 months. Yeah. And that like has just been such a game changer and is a really good tool to be able to do when it comes to like times when I know that I'm scrolling too much. So highly, highly recommend. The next digital thing that I love, which this is not necessarily one specific product, but just using technology to automate things in your life, which is, well, that's general, but I'll get into it. One thing that I have is we have this little Alexa, which I didn't even buy. My brother gave it to me. It was his old one. We have this little Alexa and we have it in our kitchen and I have it automated to now play music at certain times of the day. And honestly, that has been so nice because have been I've been wanting to have more like faith-based habits and routines into my life. And I feel like one way that is always helpful when you're trying to do a new habit or routine is kind of automating it and have it happen automatically rather than you always having to like consciously remind yourself to do it. So I've been having my Alexa automatically play worship music at 8 a.m. each morning, which is usually like around the time when we're in the kitchen making our coffees or breakfast or whatever. And that has been so nice because I just like walk into the kitchen, there's already worship music playing. I feel like it just like sets the scene for the morning to be calm. And then recently my brother has also um my brother's very into like tech and automation as you can tell, but he recently installed smart light switches into our house. So now I can also tell the Alexa to like turn the lights on and like Right now we have an automation for our Christmas tree to turn on automatically with the Alexa. So little things like that, honestly, make me feel like bougie and put together. And so I highly recommend if you have one of those things and you're able to automate it to have like music come on or your lights turn on or your lights dim at a certain time. I feel like those are just easy, attainable little ways to kind of build in routines into your life that you don't always have to necessarily think about and go out of your way to do. And of course, I can't make this episode without mentioning my sunrise alarm clock, which I love so much. I also just want to say, I know that the Hatch exists and that's like the main sunrise alarm clock. That's not the one that I'm talking about. Mine is a dupe from Amazon. It's definitely on Amazon Canada. I'm not sure about Amazon US, but it is so aesthetic, so lovely. I use the red light in the evening and then the warm light in the morning. And one thing that I love about it in comparison to the Hatch is that you don't have to pay for any subscription and it's not hooked up to your phone. My whole goal with using this alarm clock is to spend less time on my phone and not have to rely on my phone. So having that in our bedroom instead of using my phone, 100% game changer. And I feel like it also just like looks cute on your nightstand, and you can use it as a little nightlight if you like wake up in the night and need to find something without turning your big lights on. So love that. Highly recommend. Okay, moving on to self-care. And these are items that I feel like are very, very basic, and you don't have to like these exact ones are not necessarily the ones I recommend, but I feel like just finding little things in your daily life that you can swap or elevate to just make your day to day feel better. I feel like often we can think of self care as like something or like these like nice little luxuries as things that we do once in a while. But I feel like having small things that are part of your day to day truly bring joy to the everyday. And I think, especially when I was in the depths of my first trimester, some of these things genuinely made me just feel so much more put together. And I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where, you go to sleep at night thinking about your morning latte. And obviously, it's like a small thing, like having your morning coffee is not a huge event, but just sometimes you just need that little bit of motivation. And I feel like these items were that for me in this season. So the first thing is having some matching PJs and sets. I, for the last however many years, have always just had like my like old, super old t-shirts that are like ripped and basically see-through and mixed with like a pair of like random PJ pants. And I feel like there was nothing wrong with that, and it was comfy, but I feel like when I would get into my pajamas, it never like felt good. It just felt like I was getting into like kind of raggy clothes. So in the spring, I got one pair of matching PJs from Aerie. And when I tell you that it elevated my nighttime routine so much, like by the end of the day, I wanted to get into my PJs and I wanted to like get ready for bed. Whereas before, I feel like I would never have wanted to like, I would put my PJs on at the very last moment. So I feel like having nice PJs has made me feel like I can actually do an evening routine. And I feel like that's one of those things where if you get it, you get it. And if you don't and you rather just be in the comfy, your old t-shirt, that's also great. But I just have loved having matching PJs. And I think especially for heading into postpartum, which my postpartum season is going to be in the winter, having like couple pairs of matching PJs and some nice like sets that I can wear around the house that basically are like PJs, that has made me like actually enjoy being at home so much more, that I have like comfy clothes that still make me feel put together while I'm at home. Along that same line, having good socks and underwear, that's the most adult thing that I've said on this podcast, is in the sense of like, I never thought that I would be particular about the socks and underwear that I wore. However, having ones that I actually love and feel good has been so good. I feel like for a long time, I would just buy like the cheapest pair of socks possible, and then, which was fine, but they would always wear so quickly. And I've loved having the Aritzia socks. They're the only socks that I buy now, the TNA ones. And they just have so much like cushion to them that I feel like I can wear them around the house and not like, they're not thin. I can't feel like any crumbs under my feet. They're like soft and cushiony, and I love the length of them. I always get the like ankle length ones. So they go above, like, or maybe it's called ankle crew or something. They go above your ankle. So they're not like crew socks where they go like up to your calf, but they're like kind of in between an ankle and a crew sock. They're the best. I also love the Hoo Ha underwear. I think they're Canadian made. I'm not fully sure, but that has been my addiction this year, has been swapping out and getting rid of like pairs of socks and underwear that are like I don't need to have and they're just like uncomfortable and I hate wearing them. Letting go of those because I don't need to have like 50 pairs and being okay with having less, but then being really good quality. Next up is the clean skin towels. I know that I feel like these are like very controversial in terms of like, I think I've posted about them once or I've seen people post about them and people are like, just use a face cloth. Like, why are people using towels that you just throw away? However, as a girl with eczema who has a lot of dry skin on her face and, I struggle with eczema on my face, having these has been such a nice luxury for my skin because I feel like just with when you have eczema, you want to be like washing your face and getting all of that dry skin off. But if you're just using a washcloth all the time, first of all, you don't really want to use the same one because it's kind of gross. And second of all, like, I don't want to have to like see or deal with that dry skin. I want to be able to throw it away. So I love having these. I currently buy mine off of Amazon. I do think that someone said in the States that they have them at Costco, like a Kirkland version. So I really hope that they bring that to Canada because I would love to try. I would love to be able to buy them from Costco and not from Amazon. But I definitely recommend if you're someone who struggles a lot with your skin, especially in the winter, if you have really dry skin, I do think these are worth it. And they're like very thick, nice and absorbent. And then you can just throw them away and you don't have to like wash your washcloth or reuse the same one over and over. Another thing that I swapped to this year was using body oil instead of moisturizer after my shower. I don't know why I waited so long to do this, but there's just the best feeling is putting on actual body oil instead of moisturizer. Moisturizer kind of like sits on top of your skin especially if you're like wet after the shower, whereas body oil will literally like is so smooth, will like kind of absorb into your skin. I've talked about Aquaphor before on here. I love Aquaphor. I have so many tubes of them. But I recently got their spray. So it's literally in an aerosol and it has a spray can. And that is so good. As someone who loves Aquaphor already, being able to use the spray and like put it on my back and actually spray and get it has been a game changer. So body oil and Aquaphor spray, that has been my go-to after a shower. So good. And I highly recommend. Next up is creative habits. And this was an area that I was hoping would be larger this year. Again, was part of my 2025 goals was to like do a lot of different creative projects. I really wanted to get back into writing and do all these things. And that just it was just not the year for me to do all these things. However, there were a few things that I did that honestly, when I look back, I'm really just glad that I got to do these things. And I do think that they still supported like my mental health and wellness, even if I wasn't able to do the full extent of what I wanted to do. So the first one is the 1 line a day journal. So what it is it's like, I don't know if you've seen those books where it's like they're kind of like they're pretty small and then they have like 5 years of they're supposed to be like a 5-year journal. And there's been one that I had in the past. There was one that I had in the past called, I think it was like Q&A a day for 5 years. And then that one was fine, but I found that like I'm not really a big like, I don't know, random questions to me was not, I didn't love that journal as much. But then I found this one which is just called 1 line a day. And basically, the goal is that you're just writing 1 line a day. So I've been using that in a way to just like keep track of memories and especially as a mom, I feel like there's just little things that happen throughout the day that aren't like necessarily big things, but you still, I feel like, want to be able to remember them and look back on them. So this journal has been so helpful to support me to still like keep up my journaling practice, even if it's not the full extent of what I want it to be, but at least I'm still writing something down and like having that little practice of writing. And so if you're a mom, I highly recommend this, especially if you're like if you're pregnant right now and like about to have a baby. I highly recommend just like, it's very easy and attainable to do. You write down 1 line a day. And if you miss something too, like it's easy to go back and just like look at your camera roll, see what you did and write something down for that day. So I definitely have loved having that. The next thing is that I finally purchased a coloring book and markers. This is something that I've been wanting to purchase for a while. And this fall, I found that like my son was starting to want to like do more coloring and art stuff. And I found that I was just like sitting watching him color and I was like, okay, wait, I should get some colors as well. So I got a coloring book and markers, and that's been honestly so fun and such a good little cozy hobby for me to be able to do. And like, again, because you're just coloring in a coloring book, it's not like I'm having to like think of an idea of what to color and look up anything or look up any tutorial or like, I feel like as someone with ADHD, I can tend to like hyperfixate on a hobby. And then if I'm not amazing at it, After I've already purchased all the art supplies, I will give up on it. So this has been something that's been like very easy and attainable to do. And I can just sit down with my son and I can color beside him. The third thing is investing in a hard drive for all of our family photos and like my personal photos, because I'm someone who has lots of, I create content for the podcast, I create content for my photography business, I'm taking photos for clients. I have a lot of digital data that I store. And in the past, I've always just been storing everything kind of like all together. So I'll just store like basically like everything from like, the beginning of 2025, then the end of 2025, and I'll do it by like dates. This year, I was like, I think that I need to invest in a hard drive just for our family content and for all of like all the photos on my hard drive. And it has been so nice to have that fully separate. And then also I'm hoping to print some photo books this year, and to be able to actually just have everything in one place and not have to go through all my hard drives is so nice. So also with the new, if you have a new phone that is USB-C instead of Lightning, you can literally plug your hard drive directly into your phone, and then you can like download the stuff directly onto the hard drive, so you could clear off all your phone storage onto the hard drive. So that is a game changer. And like if you're like me, you probably have thousands of photos on your phone. So this is my encouragement to you to buy a hard drive and get them off of your phone. Next, moving on to the section of daily life. These are just like little everyday things that have helped me and like make me genuinely so excited about the day. So one is having a drink wellness drawer. I have all of my like tea, matcha, cute straws, frother, everything in one drawer. And I pull it out and I can see everything. And that just brings me so much joy and genuinely makes me like want to make a tea for myself, make a matcha for myself. When a friend comes over, make one for them, because everything is like there and it's organized and cute. And I feel like I didn't purchase anything to do that. We just had a drawer and I just laid everything out so that it looks nice. And that's an example of something of like, is there a way of something that you already have, but you just maybe need to like revamp it a little bit to make it a little bit more cute, or like, put it like if you have all the stuff for matcha, maybe you put it out on a little tray so that it's on your, on your counter. If you have skincare stuff, maybe you just need to like line it up on the side of your bathroom so you can actually see it and it's there and it's easy to access. I feel like just sometimes we just need a little bit of like a revamp. Look on Pinterest for inspiration if you need a little area that you're like, what's a little cute area that I could redo to make it feel a little bit more like it's a moment, rather than it just being like, okay, yeah, here's my tea, it's all just shoved in a drawer. Next up is taking my supplements regularly. This is something that I feel like just made me feel put together on the days when I was not really doing anything else to take care of myself. So I have, like I've been taking prenatals right now, obviously, because I'm pregnant, but having that as be part of like, okay, every morning I have my breakfast, and with my breakfast, I take my supplements, and I just know that that's at least one way, very low lift for me to do anything, but I'm at least like checking that off the box that I am doing one thing to take care of myself. So I feel like that's like an example of something that's like very small, but can at least help you feel like you're doing like better than you maybe actually are, which I feel like then spurs you on to be able to do other habits throughout the day more easily. Next up is having a library card and actually using it. This, if you're someone who craves dopamine and is addicted to scrolling but doesn't want to be, go to the library and just browse and like look at the nonfiction books, check them all out. I would take out like a huge stack of books from the library, and it's just so fun to get to flip through them all. And also it's like, okay, I spent $0 on this, and I also don't have to store this. Like, this is not adding to the clutter of my house. I can just take this and take it back to the library when I'm done with them. So highly recommend, if you don't have a library card, go get one. Go look at what resources are available at your library. There's also, if you're a hobby girl, a lot of libraries also will have things that you can use. At our old library in Kelowna, they had like a Cricut that you could use, a sewing machine that you could use, like lots of different tools as well. So I highly recommend looking into what resources are available at your library and get yourself a library card if you don't have one already. The next thing is changing my desktop wallpaper every month. This is so easy to do, but has such high impact, because if you're someone who uses your computer regularly, you're looking at that wallpaper, and I feel like it gives me so much motivation. I have my whole like little Pinterest collage mood board above, and then I'll have my goals below. I will link my exact template. I have a Canva template. That's the exact one that I use every single month. And that is just such an easy way. It takes me like 5 minutes to put together, and I switch it every month, and it makes me feel put together, and it helps me just remind myself what my vision and goals are for the month ahead. Okay, last section is my quick win section, and these are like very small things that make me feel put together and just very easy to implement. And I feel like I don't know why I didn't do these things sooner. The first thing is that I bought a huge pack of, I think even just maybe a 6-pack of the Tide to Go pens, and I have them everywhere. I have one in my purse, I have one in my car, I have one in my, like, everywhere. And I am someone who spills my coffee on myself quite regularly, unfortunately. So having these is actually so nice, and I use them so much more than I even thought that I did. And I don't know why it took me so long to buy them. Definitely recommend buying a big pack of them, because if I just bought one, then I would, I probably would never have it with me because I would like leave it in my car. Or I would forget it somewhere. But having multiple of these so that I always know where one is has been the best. I also finally purchased a portable like phone charger this year. And that has been so nice because my phone battery is not the best. And so if I am like away from home all day, um, I love being able to just charge my phone and know that my phone's not going to die. Again, if you have a new phone, you probably don't have this problem, but it just makes me feel so much more put together that I'm not like always stressed that my phone's going to die. And I love the phone charger that I got. It's very easy to just like you plug it into the wall and then it charges in like really quick, but it holds so much battery. Like I've charged my phone, I think like 3 or 4 times off of it fully, and it's still not dead. So highly recommend. Again, I also started carrying hand sanitizer this year. I don't know why I didn't do this during COVID, but I have hand sanitizer in my purse and my car now. After thrifting, spraying my hands again makes me feel so put together. And as you guys know, I'm a self tanner girly, and that is something that just when I'm not feeling great, especially January through March, a little bit of self tanner goes a long way. I love Salty Face. They are Canadian based and like natural. They don't flare up my eczema. They're the best. So highly recommend. And lastly is just taking the time to make a little weekly Pinterest mood board for myself. I will link a video talking about how I do this because it's so easy. It literally takes me 5 minutes. I will go on Pinterest. I will scroll for 4 or 5 minutes, look at 4 photos of what I want my week to look like. I will save them to my phone, go into Instagram and make a little collage, and then I'll make that my phone background for the week. And when I tell you that just doing that, taking the time out of my week to do that helps me to have like some vision ahead for the week. And it is, again, so easy to do, but has such high impact. So that's the last thing that I'll share with you guys today. And it is just been so nice to have that little weekly routine built in. And obviously that's not like a specific wellness product, but it's just something that I've done over the past year that I feel like has really helped to support my wellness and my routines, even when in a season where I was not thriving or doing my best. So those are my favorite wellness products and routines from the last year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that not all of these things are the most like trendy or groundbreaking. However, they really have supported me in a year that felt very chaotic and crazy. I'd love to know if there's anything from this past year that you have that it was similar, or anything, other resources or tools that you used that I should try for the year to come, because I'm always interested in trying new things. So let me know below. And we'll see you guys back here next week. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and we'll chat with you guys later.